Hello and welcome to my Tarot Corner. I've got a lot of requests and I've been debating with myself what to do exactly. But what I really want in this reading is to delve into Kerry Kennedy. Because she's quite a curious person. She is a Kennedy, and she runs one of the most prestigious um, foundations, who gives very prestigious awards. And suddenly this year she decided to give an award to two people that the only reason why they are receiving that award is because they said that they fought systemic racism within the royal family. No proof, nothing. So I'm asking myself what exactly is going on here. And I've decided to delve into her, and I'm sorry about this, about her, into her personality. Is it because she's envious with the JFK foundation that are backing Prince William with his Earthshot Prize? So what exactly is ticking Kerry Kennedy? What is her personality? So I'm going to look into this. So first I'm using a new deck called CATTITUDE. That's like gratitude, but with cats. And I did say that I ordered quite a few new cat decks, but I still haven't received all. So this is one of them, and it is a mini deck, so it is easier to do bigger spreads with a mini deck. So let's start by saying my disclaimer. This is a tarot reading. It is vibrational. It is open to interpretation. It exists as assumptions and speculation, and as such may or may not be true. So please do your own research and decide for yourselves. Okay, so let's clear the deck. So the first card is a card that is telling us about her, what kind of person she is. But let's start by asking, so who is Kerry Kennedy? What is her personality? What are her goals and wishes? What makes her do things? Who is Kerry Kennedy? Her personality, and what does make her do things that could be controversial. Okay, now I have just one thing that I wanted to say about my previous readings, because I got a very long and interesting comment from one of my subscribers about Harry and the fact that the devil controls him in a way. And I said that the devil is probably his wife. The reason I said that was because when I did a reading about Meghan, I got that in her past, the devil started controlling her, and that is before even she met Harry. So I believe that that was connected to the Soul House. So I believe that that is the reason, but I do accept the fact that there could be a devil inside of Harry himself. And as I said before, Harry, I am torn between myself about Harry. I'm not sure whether he is a good person that was just caught in the web of a narcissist, or maybe he is someone who just found someone that can help him get his true self. It's very hard to see. So according to the reading, it can be both ways. So Okay, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. One more thing about reversed cards. I'm not reading reversed cards because the way I learned tarot is that every card is good attributes and bad attributes. There is no card that is wholly good or wholly bad. And I don't read tarot as many see in maybe a lot of booklets, that there is this like a grocery store list of attributes for the cards, but I'm looking at the psychological interpretation of the cards, and then I look at the affinity of the card. And if the card is badly aspected by cards that are near him, then the shadow comes out, and the shadow is the bad attributes of the card. So each card can be good and bad. And getting, for example, the 10 of Cups reversed doesn't mean unhappiness. Or if it is a yes answer, it doesn't mean no. It says yes, but if the shadow comes, then we need to look at the shadow side. Okay, so that's done. So the first card about Kerry Kennedy is her central aspect, or the central thing that is about her. And what we're getting here is the 5 of Pentacles. So what makes Kerry Kennedy tick? She is in competition. She does not want to end up in the 5 of Pentacles. So no, she's not a poor person. So she's not someone who doesn't have enough money, but she is always afraid of losing. Now, the 5 of Pentacles, as I said, this is a card that has good attributes and bad attributes. Now, what are the good attributes of the 5 of Pentacles? The good attributes about it is that if you know how to act, and if you're not acting as if you're always under threat, then you can keep your place and not feel desperate or losing. But if you don't do that, then you are distracted, then you are distracting yourself, and you get to this failure and quarrel. So this is a card of a difficult place. And Kerry Kennedy right now, and this is about how she feels right now, she's in a difficult place. She chose people for an award, people who don't deserve that award. As far as I understand, not a lot of people, or at least there is a lot of vacancy for that Ripple of Hope ceremony. The price that they are charging is overpriced, and she's afraid. She's afraid that she has made some kind of a move here that is will cause her to lose, and to lose not only money but prestige. Now, probably the main reason she chose Harry and Meghan was because a few days before or later, I think it's later, William and Catherine are going to do the Earthshot Prize with the JFK Foundation, and she wanted her royals. So that was her thought process was that Harry and Meghan will be some kind of a competition to the JFK Kennedy Foundation. So she keeps feeling that she is in some kind of competition. She feels the threat, and she's afraid of losing. So this is the main thing that makes her tick. So the next thing is, what are her obstacles? Now, when we're talking about obstacles, this is a bad place. So we need to talk about the bad attributes of this card, even if it's a great card. And what we're getting here is the Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups is a fantasizer. And this explains very well why she did what she did, because she's living in this fantasy world that Prince Harry is royal enough to attract enough people to get people to be in that award ceremony, which was always a very prestige one. Obama got this award, Clinton got this award. So this was always a very prestige award. But this year, probably she couldn't find anyone better. So she had this fantasy that Prince William is someone that Prince Harry is someone that will attract enough people to that award ceremony. That now she did get a lot of publicity, that's for sure. So but not all publicity is good publicity. So the bad attributes of this card is the tendency to fantasize. So this is a deluded woman, and she is unable to counteract all the obstacles that are in front of her. This is a card of someone who is selfish, someone who is afraid to deal with hardship. And she is facing hardship, but she's afraid to do that. So she's making all kinds of decisions she thinks that will help her, but in the end, it does not help her. So that is her main obstacle. Now, the next card is, what can we see about Kerry Kennedy's past? And Kerry Kennedy's past is the Fool. So she started as a very open-minded person. The Fool is someone who is highly spirited, someone who really appreciates his freedom, someone who is very open to new things, someone who will take risks. So she started as a very open person, someone who is willing to take risks, to do things. But we need to look at the negative aspects of this card as well, because it is right near the Five of Pentacles. If you can see it, this is where it is. So the negative aspects of the Fool are a person that will burn bridges behind him. And I don't know what happened inside the Kennedy clan. I know that there were a lot of arguments there. I don't know who is the one who decided to split that family, but there was a split there, and there was this kind of ignoring the let's say the reality, and in a way just destroying things that happened or that were working very well in order to rebuild them and to start something new. But once again, the negative aspects of this card is deception and trickery for self-gain. So I think that this is part of what ticked Kerry Kennedy and caused her to make her own foundation, or a foundation that is about Robert Kennedy and not JFK, or to be separated from her family. She herself was thinking about her own self-gain. So there are good attributes to the Fool and there are bad attributes to the Fool, but altogether, the Fool signifies someone who is willing to do things, new things, to take risks, and sometimes he falls, and sometimes he needs to face the failure, but it's hard for her to face the failure. So I'm moving now to the affinity of this card. And the affinity of the Fool is someone who is ignoring obstacles, ignoring the reality, someone who will go out to the free world no matter what, even if it means burning bridges behind him. And this is very strong here, because Kerry Kennedy decided not to be part of the whole family Kennedy foundation, but to create a separate one. And I'm not sure that it was her decision, but she joined that. So this is the affinity of this card, and it's important because it does explain why she's not part of the JFK Foundation. Next card is about the future. What can we see for Kerry Kennedy's future? And we see the Queen of Wands. Okay, the Queen of Wands, that's usually Meghan, and it's not a surprise because she did want Harry, but what she got is Meghan. And that is what happens with each and every person who really wants Harry but ends up getting Meghan. And that card even tells me that the person that will talk in that ripple of hope affair event is probably Meghan. But the Queen of Wands is also the future of Kerry Kennedy, a very egotistical woman, a woman that only thinks about herself, a woman that wants to be in the limelight. She wants to be a center stage. And part of the reason that she chose Harry and Meghan to receive that award was the fact that she knew that this is controversial, and she knew that this will put her in the news, and people will start knowing who she is, and people will start recognizing her. This is part of the reason why she did that, and this is her future. So her future is to be very, very similar to Meghan herself. Someone who really thinks about herself and is very egotistical, very childish, very, let's say, stubborn. Okay, so that's her future. Now, the next card is, what is the unconscious things that are ticking Kerry Kennedy? What is in her unconscious, things that she herself doesn't recognize? And what I'm getting here is the Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords is the person who wants people to do things for him. The Knight of Swords is the spoiled kid. She doesn't really want to do the work. She wants others to do the work for her, very much like the Queen of Swords, which is just a phase. But this is in her subconscious. In her subconscious, she's thinking about how she can make other people do the work that she needs to do. Now, the affinity of this card is someone who will go out on a fight, just like she did when she went out and said why she chose Harry and Meghan, and someone who loves to say the last word. She wouldn't let other people ask her questions. She wouldn't try and explain more. She gave her statement, and that is it. So she doesn't like people arguing with her, and she doesn't want people to say the last word. She's the one who will always say the last word in every argument or every conversation. She is the one who stops the conversation and says the last word. So that's in her subconscious. So what is public? What do other people see? So, or what is in her conscious mind? And we see the Nine of Swords. So she's worried. And that goes very well with the Five of Pentacles, because she's afraid of failure. She's afraid of not succeeding. And this is a very justified worry because this award is probably not going to succeed. And it's too close to the Earthshot Prize. Most of the people that were maybe candidates to come to the Ripple of Hope award will choose to go to Boston and not to New York, and especially go to the Earthshot Prize that doesn't charge so much money to attend, and it's invitation only, so it's even more prestige than to come out and say, yes, I paid $1 million to be in that event. So she's worried, and we can see that this is something that is public. Her worry is really public. Now, this is someone who the worry doesn't allow her to even think logically. So she doesn't even think about a logic explanation to why she chose Harry and Meghan. Everybody knows that Harry and Meghan lied in the Oprah interview. So to come out and say, because in the Oprah interview they said that they had to fight systemic racism in the monarchy, this is ludicrous. And she realized that. This is something that is in her conscience. She is right now sitting there in her bed and thinking to herself, what have I done? Why did I say such stupid thing? Why am I not thinking logically? Why do I let my fears control me? Because this is exactly what she lets her fears do. Her fears control her. Now, if we're looking at the affinity of this card, we see someone who is making all of the wrong choices, someone who is prone to disaster, and let me see just one more thing that I saw. Someone who chooses not to see the difficulties. So this is why he's covering his eyes. So that is why she's not acting rationally. She's acting as a defense mechanism. Coming out and saying those things, that was her defense mechanism. It did not end up well. Okay, so what is Kerry Kennedy's identity? What can we say that really is her something that describes her identity? And the card that I'm getting is Judgment. So we can say that she's a very judgmental person, but we can also say that she's a person who is going through very difficult changes. The Judgment card is a card of change, someone who is going through a very difficult change, a very painful change, and maybe even the separation from her family is part of that. Going out on a new venture is also part of that. This is her identity right now. Someone who is going through a very, very difficult and painful process of change that can go two ways. It's going to go to the better place, to be a better person, or it can go to the worst place and be a bad person. So this is what this card means when we're talking about the psychological meaning of the card. Now, if we're looking at the affinity of this card, it has two meanings. One is a good meaning, and one is a bad meaning. Now, the good meaning is a person that is reaching some kind of enlightenment, some kind of realization, what went wrong in his life, and being able to correct that. The bad meaning or the bad affinity of this card is a person that lives like a zombie, someone who is not really living life, someone who is actually doing things mechanically, but not really living life, doesn't feel anything. So these are the two attributes of this card, and we need to see which cards will come next to realize what is the real identity of Kerry Kennedy. Okay, so the next card is a second card of identity. We have two cards of identity, so that would help us to realize what the Judgment card says. And we're getting the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles is a person that is very hesitant. Someone who will not go into all sorts of adventures without checking, without looking forward. But just look how it comes right near the Fool. And the Fool is, and the Knight of Pentacles are some kind of two cards that contradict one another, because the Fool will go out to this all sorts of adventures without checking. The Knight of Pentacles won't. So if we're looking at both of these cards, we see that she went through some kind of change. This was in the past, and the change that she went through was that she became a very hesitant person, someone who doesn't go into those adventures that she used to in like so freely. She won't do that today. And why won't she do that? Because she went through this very major change. Now, this is not a better change. This is a change to the good. And a Knight of Pentacles that is a hesitant knight, someone who is not going to live his life fully because he's so scared of things, it shows us that she is more of living like a zombie and living technically and not really enjoying life. Okay, so this is why the Knight of Pentacles and the Judgment came together. Now, the next two cards are her desires and fears. So let's start with her desires. Desires is the Ten of Wands. So it shows that she's feeling that she has a very big overload on top of her. She wants it down. She wants to get rid of that. She wants to be able to take those wands away. All those wands are actually the obstacles that are standing in her way, and there are too many obstacles in her way, and she cannot get rid of them. This is what she's hopeful for. This is what she wants to achieve. Now, if we're looking at the affinity of this card, so one of the affinities is someone who lives in a survival mode. And someone who lives in a survival mode is someone who lives technically and not really feeling or really experiencing life, someone who lives like a zombie, because right now this is how she is. She's living in this survival mode, and she is hoping that this will end, that she will be able to go back to being the Fool, to start doing things differently, that she will be able to get over all of those worries and difficult things, and that she will not end up in the Five of Pentacles, which is looming there and always like a sword over her head, that fear that she will fail. So this is an overload that she really wants to get off. Okay, the next card is what are her fears. And her fears are strength. And strength is a card that speaks about finding control within yourself. And this is something that she doesn't have, and she is afraid that she will never have. When this card comes in the fear place, that is a negative place. When we look at the negative aspects of this card, it shows us that she has no control over herself, over things that are happening in her life. She cannot control things. She is in a very difficult place, and she feels insecurity. She feels that she is unable to fulfill herself. This is even a card of addiction, and a card of someone who lets others control him. And this is what she's mostly afraid of. She's afraid that she will end up a zombie, and someone who will be under control of others. So altogether, we can see a woman who is in a very difficult place. We see a woman that is living in fear and has this fantasy that she can solve those problems, but she wasn't like that in the beginning. But the changes that she went through in her life did not bring her to a good place. They brought her to a place of ego. They brought her to a place of someone who was very self-centered, but altogether she's unable to make that happen. She's indecisive, she's unable to act, she lives in a fantasy world, she's worried, she has a lot of obstacles to tackle, and altogether she has no control over her life. So someone else controls her. And the choice of choosing Harry and Meghan is something that she cannot even explain to herself. That is why we have the Nine of Swords here. This is a card of consciousness. And in her consciousness, she cannot even explain to herself why she chose them. But in the subconscious, when we look at the Knight of Swords, it is about wanting that something will happen without the need for her to do something. So she wanted maybe to top over the JFK Foundation, and she thought that if she gets Harry and Meghan, they will do the work for her. So she didn't find a better way of doing that. And because she is not really connected to reality, she is in this fantasy world where she thinks that just asking a royal and giving an award to a royal is good enough, like the Earthshot Prize, and it will be successful as the Earthshot Prize. So altogether, we can see that, first of all, this Ripple of Hope event is about to fail. It's not going to succeed. Not a lot of people will be there. Not a lot of people will buy those tickets. And despite the hype that will be around that, it will not be successful because it wasn't done out of the right reasons. And it looks like Kerry Kennedy is in a very bad place and is unable to get herself out of bed and starting to do things to help herself. Because the Ten of Wands, when it comes in a good place, is a card that says that if you are strong enough, then you are able to tackle those obstacles. But when you don't have control over yourself, then you cannot tackle those wands, those obstacles. So altogether, I really pity Kerry Kennedy, and no matter how much money she has, she is a very sad woman. She's a very sad woman who does not live her life in a full way, not like she started. When she started, she was a very hopeful woman, someone who thought that she can change the world, that she can change things. This is how she started, but this is how she ends up, and it's not a good way. Okay, so that is the tarot, and for the oracle, today I'm choosing these mini oracle decks that are cute and very easy to understand. And we're starting with the NAKISGA'S Rabbit Oracle. So I just love those small decks that it's so easier to shuffle. And this deck actually doesn't come with a book, and it just comes like that. And because the messages are very simple to understand. So let's see what is the message for Kerry Kennedy. So first I'm clearing the deck. Okay, so a message for Kerry Kennedy. A message for Kerry Kennedy. Once again, a message for Kerry Kennedy. So let's see. Swamp. That is what it says. So I'm sorry, Kerry Kennedy, but you are in a swamp, and it is a swamp that you created to yourself. This is what the oracle tells you. This swamp is something that you created, and now you need to find a way out, and it's not easy. But this is what it is. So it goes with the tarot that shows that your life right now is not as satisfying as you would have liked it to be. Okay, so this is it for this reading. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment, share my videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.